Good morning.
Hiya, grab a coffee, cup of tea, water
For the next 2 hours,
for the
no.
next few minutes. Horizon Church Sutton Senior Pastors Update. Dave, Judith, if you've not,
Good to meet.
if you don't know who we are, some people can click on this and haven't got a clue who we are.
Absolutely.
So yes, Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, we were back in the church building live streaming.
It's great.
A few technical hitches again. We're ironing out all of that thanks to our tech team. They're actually documenting this all. So any one of us
Not me.
could train to do it. In fact, we think we need 3 people. We need one on camera, one on recording, and one on the words to go on the screen. But hey, so anyway, thanks to them, credit to them. We were back in the building. It was fabulous to be back. Although we can't sing, we've got to do something about that collar. Oh my word. Yeah, we can't sing yet. Maybe the end of June. That was what I heard, but we'll have to see.
You didn't see that, did
We
you?
were.
I did that.
Oh,
Carry on.
this lockdown can't end soon enough. What was I saying? Oh yes, we were sold out on Sunday.
That's
Tickets. That's fantastic. So with this email, there will be a little button that you can press and click through to order a ticket. Please don't be shy.
No, get in there.
You know, you nice Christians like to defer and prefer one another,
Which is right.
which is fantastic.
But in this case,
yeah,
we would rather manage an overbooking
yeah.
than wonder who on earth.
I mean, if you want to be gracious, give it a day or two
Yeah.
to let anyone that didn't get in last time get on. But, you know, by Friday, Saturday at the latest, for goodness sake,
just do it.
book your tickets.
Just do it.
It'd be great to be back in the building with you all again.
And it was good. It was good.
It was excellent,
To be
yeah.
together. So brilliant.
Right, you got something to share with us today?
I have, yes. As Judith mentioned, it was Easter Day. What a great day to meet back together for the first time. And we're looking forward to better ways. I want to see that building filled again. Not having to do tickets. And, we just keep praying and we keep looking to the future. And we're going to adapt and do what we need to do as we do it. But it was great to hear, great message on Sunday about the resurrection that reminded us that the Jesus that we serve is not some dead historical figure. He's alive.
Yep.
And you know, the early church, they didn't just preach about the love of Jesus and salvation. One of the key things, and perhaps the key theme that they lived and died for and were persecuted for, was sharing the resurrection of Jesus, because that was the key thing that sets Jesus apart from every other religious leader or belief. Jesus is alive. And the resurrection was a great moment, but I was thinking, what next? Follow that. How do you do that? The Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, are largely biographical. They're biographies, they're stories of the life of Jesus. And there are lots of books that are biographies of great people. And they all finish when they die. There's probably a biography about Winston Churchill. There's probably loads of biographies about Winston Churchill. But the last chapter is the one that ends with his death, no doubt, because there's nothing more to say. But one writer, fellow I know, I really love reading, A.W. Tozer, has a little article called The Next Chapter After the Last. And the point he makes is that a biography finishes when you die. But the next chapter with Jesus came after the last chapter when he died. And for the purposes of this morning, the last chapter, the next chapter after the last that I'm referring to is John chapter 20, because it starts off early in the morning on the first day of the week. Mary went to and it was empty, and he rose again.
Yeah.
It wasn't the end, it was the end of the old regime and the beginning of something far, far greater. And I just want very briefly to mention this morning the post-resurrection. What next? In chapter 20, Thomas he's always criticised a bit for being a doubter, but I think we just need to be careful before we criticise him. And he said, "You've seen the risen Jesus. Well, unless I can actually put my fingers in the holes and in his side, I won't believe." Right? And it says a week later, and we're nearly a week later. Well, it's Wednesday that we're doing this, by the way. But by the time you see this, it'll be a week later. A week later, in chapter 20, verse 26, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." He said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands, reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed." And this is one for us, folks. Blessed are those who have not seen me and yet have believed.
Yep.
Jesus did many other miracles or miraculous signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book, but these things are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. What a fantastic verse this is. It seems to me, I'm a legend really in being rubbish with computers, but one thing I do know is that if a computer or a computer operated item like a mobile phone stops working, one of the simple solutions can possibly be you switch it off and you switch it on again. The technical term for that is a reboot. Why don't you just call it turn it off and turn it on again? Only it's a reboot, because you've got to sound techie. I'm going to reboot my phone. Do you know, it seems to me that the disciples at this particular juncture in time needed to have a reboot. They needed to see things in a different way. You see, the disciples for 3 years, sometimes it catches people don't realise that Jesus only did those miracles in that ministry for 3 years. Mm-hmm. That was it. 3 years and he changed the world. Some people think he did it all his life. No, the first
it's like
30.
Lockdown plus 2 years, that's what it is.
Absolutely.
As short as that.
But he called his disciples, and for 3 years his disciples grew to know him. The revelation of who he was grew, and they learned to walk with Jesus as disciples, and they saw his miracles. By contrast to that, in his hometown, they kind of treated him contemptuously. In Matthew 13, when he preached to the people in his hometown, they said, "Isn't this the carpenter's son?" I think the disciples who followed him had a greater revelation than some of the people who were familiar with him. Do you know something? We have to be careful as Christians and as churches. We don't get used to a non-powerful Jesus. One that is there, that we worship, that we sing to, but we never see a real power and a real move in his name. Oh, he's the carpenter's son. I know we don't think that, but our experience can almost limit Jesus to be what we see him as, whereas the disciples learned to see him as he was, the Son of God. They'd seen a miracle worker, a fantastic teacher, and so much more. But then he died, and it messed everything up. What's going on? He died. We thought he was going to
overthrow the Romans.
Everything like that. But then, as we know, the third day came, and he rose again. And they had to reboot and learn to know not the carpenter's son, not the living Jesus who came into the world through Mary and became a man, not just a normal living being, but a risen Jesus.
Yeah.
One who was in a new dimension, who conquered death. Mm-hmm. And another thing that surprises people is this, that Jesus didn't waft in and out again. And it says in Acts chapter 1, verse 3, that he was with his disciples for 40 days. 40 days. To prepare for their future.
To help them with the reboot.
And to help them with the reboot.
Yeah.
And here we had Thomas, who couldn't work it out in his mind. I won't believe unless I see him. And then Jesus appeared to him. And there was the Jesus who was prophesied before he came. The Jesus who came as a baby, who when he was taken to the temple, the prophet there saw him and said, "This is the Son of God. This is the one who's come from God." He wasn't just the little boy that asked questions in the temple. He wasn't just a powerful teacher, miracle worker for 3 years. He became the risen Jesus. And during that time of resurrection, his disciples got to know him at that level, because that needed to prepare them for the ascended Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He was still with them post-resurrection for 40 days, but he needed to teach and input to prepare them for the ascension, when he would go to be with his Father and the Holy Spirit would come.
Yeah.
A new level altogether. So what's next after the resurrection? What's next for us? I tell you what, I just want to challenge you, get to know the risen Jesus.
Yeah.
Spend time with him. It's all right for you saying spend time with him. I've got kids, I've got a job, I know. But we've also got those times when we can, even when we're walking, just walk with him. Just talk to him. Get to know him and let him speak into your life. He won't necessarily come in the thunderclouds and say your name, but he speaks to us, he helps us to get to know him. So if the lockdown has messed up your Christian experience, let's reboot.
Time for a reboot.
Let's get to know him as he is, and let's prepare for a future. Amen.
Brilliant. And we're also rebooting as a church, coming back into the building.
Yeah.
The community pastor position is now on our website and Assemblies of God website. And I think
Excuse me, went down the wrong hole.
we'll be going out on social media as well. So, if you have got contacts in the Christian world and, where we could, signpost people to, then we're wanting God's man or woman as our community pastor to work alongside our associate pastor, Wes. We're rebooting as a church, looking at doing parent and toddler group. Anne's working really, really hard on that. She's been doing a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
So we're rebooting as a church. So be prepared even when we come back, we're rebooting. So be prepared for God to say, actually, I don't want you to do that anymore. I want you to do this. Yeah. Or you haven't been doing anything, so I'm asking you to do that. Even the tech team. You never know. He might call you to be involved in the tech team, and we'll have ironed out all the problems by then. It'll be a dream team to be a part of. So have a good week. Have a reboot week. What does God want to reboot in your life and allow you to interact and have a relationship with the risen Jesus, with all his power, all his authority? I mean, when you think about it, the disciples, they'd seen all these miracles and stuff, and that was great. He did it to other people, and he observed all of that. But then they were, when he was risen from the dead, they could have massive confidence that death could not hold him or them in future. It gave them such a real, literal boost that they went out preaching, and well, we're here today because of that. Yeah. So let's reboot. And who in your world can you impact because of your reboot and carrying that message of the eternal risen Jesus? Awesome.
Yeah.
Have a good week, everyone.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Bless you. Bye-bye.